Hannah led Ta-1 and the freed guards to a maintenance room. Her mind was working fast. The old general was fully awake now. "They want to scare us by killing the Mavordin," she said. "But fear can work both ways." Ta-1 looked at her. "What do you mean?" Hannah took out a ship map from the wall. "I've cleaned every part of this ship for years. I know it better than anyone." She pointed to different spots. "Life support systems here. Power controls here. Water systems here." One of the guards spoke up. "We can't reach those areas. The Vrex control the main paths." Hannah smiled a little. It wasn't a nice smile. "I never used the main paths." She moved a large cabinet away from the wall, revealing a small door. "Maintenance tunnels. They run everywhere." "What's your plan?" Ta-1 asked. "The Vrex think they control the ship. I'm going to show them they don't." She turned to the guards. "I need you to create a distraction in 30 minutes. Make noise in the lower decks. Draw some Vrex away from the meeting room." The guards nodded. Hannah looked at Ta-1. "You're with me." Hannah and Ta-1 crawled through the narrow tunnels. They were tight even for Hannah. Ta-1 struggled to keep up. "How did you find these tunnels?" he whispered. "I look for things others don't see," she said simply. "It's how I survived the AI war." They reached a small junction box. Hannah opened it with tools from her belt. "What are we doing?" Ta-1 asked. "Changing the rules of the game." Her fingers moved quickly, connecting and disconnecting wires. "In war, you use what your enemy doesn't expect." Suddenly, the lights in parts of the ship went out. Hannah nodded, satisfied. First step done. They moved to another section. This time, Hannah accessed the life support system. "Can you control that?" Ta-1 asked, surprised. "I've fixed it enough times to know how it works." She made more changes. Now we wait. In the dark sections of the ship, the Vrex guards became nervous. They used lights to see, but the shadows made them jumpy. Then something new happened. In some halls, the oxygen level dropped. Not enough to kill, but enough to make the Vrex dizzy and slow. In other areas, the temperature dropped very low. The Vrex, with their scaled skin, hated cold. The ship's communication system, which the Vrex had been using, suddenly stopped working in some sections. The Vrex guards couldn't talk to each other. On the security screens, Hannah and Ta-1 watched the confusion spread. "You're not just fighting them," Ta-1 said with awe. "You're using the ship itself as a weapon." "The AI taught me to use everything available," Hannah said. "It never expected a human to change the battlefield. These Vrex are making the same mistake." The Vrex leader's voice came over the working speakers. He sounded angry. "Stop whatever you're doing. We will kill another ambassador now." Hannah moved fast. Time for Phase 2. She led Ta-1 to a new tunnel. They emerged near the ship's main computer room. 2 Vrex guards stood watch. They looked nervous, affected by the changing environment. Hannah didn't hesitate. She burst from the tunnel and attacked before they could react. Her movements were a blur. The nanites in her blood gave her speed no normal human had. Both guards fell in seconds. "How did you do that?" Ta-1 asked, eyes wide. 300 years ago, I was the best Earth had," Hannah said simply. "I still remember how to fight." Inside the computer room, Hannah accessed the main controls. "From here, I can control more systems. Block the Vrex from using the ship against us." As she worked, Ta-1 watched the security feed. "Hannah, the Vrex leader is moving another ambassador. It's Ambassador Jin." Hannah looked up. On the screen, the human ambassador was pulled to the center of the room. The Vrex leader held a gun to his head. "Final warning," the Vrex leader said to the camera. "Stop now, or the human dies first." Hannah's fingers flew over the controls. "I can't stop in time." The Vrex leader started to squeeze the trigger. Suddenly, all lights in the meeting room went out. Complete darkness fell. The security feed showed nothing. A shot rang out. then screams and sounds of fighting. When emergency lights came on 10 seconds later, 2 Vrex guards lay on the floor. The rest looked around in confusion. Ambassador Jin was on the ground, but alive. "What happened?" Ta-1 asked. Hannah didn't answer, but a small smile crossed her face, the first real smile since she had awakened in this new world. "Phase 3, she said quietly. "Let's go. We have more work to do." Ta-1 stared at Hannah, her word tongue in the air between them. "My grandfather told me about you," he said finally. "He said you were the greatest soldier Earth ever had, that you saved humanity from machines that tried to kill us all." "That was a long time ago," Hannah said. "How are you still alive?" "No time for that story now," Hannah replied. She showed him the Vrex guard's gun she had taken. "The Vrex have 20 fighters on board. They control the main systems. We need to be smart about this." Tai-1 nodded. "What's your plan?" "First, we need to see exactly where all the Vrex are. Then we need to free some of the ship's guards. With more help, we can take back the ship." They moved to a small control room that most people didn't know about. Hannah had found it years ago while cleaning. She connected to the ship's cameras. "Look," she said, pointing to the screen. 5 Vrex in the engine room. 8 with the ambassadors. The rest are spread around the ship. "How do we fight so many?" Ta-1 asked. He looked worried. "We don't fight them all at once," Hannah said. Her voice was calm. "We start small. Free the guards in Section 4. They're closest." As they left the room, Ta-1 asked, "How did you learn all this? How to plan, how to fight?" "I led Earth's forces against the AI for 15 years, Hannah said simply. "You learn or you die." They moved through the ship carefully. Hannah went first, her steps silent from years of practice. When they got close to Section 4, they heard voices. 2 Vrex guards stood outside a locked room. Inside were 5 ship guards. "Follow my lead," Hannah whispered. She took off her maintenance worker jacket and messed up her hair. Then she ran toward the Vrex guards, crying. "Please help," she cried. "I'm lost. I'm scared." The Vrex guards looked annoyed. "Stupid human," one said. "Go back to your room before we shoot you." Hannah got closer, still crying. "Please, I don't know where to go." The guards didn't see her as a threat. She was small, female, and human. In their eyes, she was weak. That was their mistake. When Hannah got close enough, she moved with shocking speed. Her hand hit one guard in the throat. He fell without a sound. The second guard reached for his gun, but Hannah was already there. She knocked the weapon away and struck him twice. He dropped to the floor. Tai-1 stood with his mouth open. "That was, how did you move so fast?" "Nanites," Hannah said, taking the guard's key card. "Little machines in my blood. They make me faster, stronger." She opened the door and freed the 5 guards. They looked confused to see a maintenance worker rescuing them. "This is General Park," Tai-1 told them. "She's going to help us take back the ship." The guards looked doubtful, but they had just seen her take down 2 Vrex without breaking a sweat. "We need to free more guards," Hannah said. "Then we can save the ambassadors." As they moved to the next section, an alarm sounded. A voice came over the system. "The humans are trying to fight back," a Vrex voice said. "For this, we will show you what happens to those who resist." On all screens around the ship, an image appeared. The Vrex leader stood in the meeting room with the ambassadors. He pulled a female Mavorian ambassador forward. She was known for being kind to humans. "This is your only warning," the Vrex leader said. Hannah started running. She knew what would happen next, but the meeting room was too far away. On the screen, the Vrex leader raised his gun. The shot rang out through the ship's speakers. Hannah stopped running. The Mavorian ambassador fell to the floor, dead. "That's one," the Vrex leader said coldly. "We have 11 more ambassadors. Stop fighting, or we kill another in 1 hour." Hannah's face changed. The calm, quiet mask disappeared. In its place was something that made even Tai-1 step back. "New plan," she said, her voice hard like steel. "We're not being gentle anymore." Hannah moved quickly through the ship that night. She needed to see more of what the Vreks were doing. Years of cleaning the Harmony had taught her every path and hidden corner. She slipped into a small space between walls where pipes ran. It was too small for most people, but Hannah's body was tiny. She could fit where others couldn't go. Through a vent, she watched the main Vreks place another small bomb. There were 5 Vreks now. They all wore visitor passes, but Hannah knew they were not real diplomats. "Tomorrow, when all 12 species leaders are in the room, we will show the Confederation what happens when they ignore the Vreks Republic," one said. Hannah needed to warn someone, but who would believe a simple cleaner? She thought about going to Ta-1, but that would mean revealing her past. She decided to check how many bombs there were first. As she moved through the narrow space, the ship suddenly shook. A loud boom came from below. "Attention all crew and passengers," the ship's voice system said. "Please stay in your rooms. This is not a drill." The Vreks had started early. Hannah dropped from the ceiling space into an empty hallway. Alarms rang throughout the ship. She ran toward the security office. Red lights flashed. The ship shook again. When she reached the office, she found it empty except for one dead guard. The Vreks had been here. Suddenly, the ship's voice spoke again. But this time, it was a Vrek speaking. "Attention all on board the Harmony. We now control this ship. All 12 ambassadors are our prisoners in the main meeting room. If anyone tries to stop us, we will kill them one by one." Hannah knew what this meant. The bombs were not just to kill people. They were a threat. The Vreks wanted something. She checked the security screens. 20 Vreks fighters had taken over the ship. They had planned well. Most of the ship's guards were trapped or dead. On one screen, she saw the meeting room. All 12 ambassadors sat at a large table, including human ambassador Jin and Daraxian ambassador Krell. Vreks guards stood around them with weapons. Hannah needed a plan. The old soldier in her mind woke up fully now. First, she needed weapons. Then she needed to know exactly what the Vreks planned. She went to a small room nearby where cleaning tools were kept. Behind a loose wall panel, she had hidden a few things over the years. Just in case. Old habits from her days as a general. She pulled out a small knife and some wire. Not much, but it was a start. As she moved through the quiet halls, she saw a lone Vreks guard. He didn't see her coming. Hannah may have looked weak, but the nanite still worked in her blood. Even after all these years, she moved faster than any normal human could. The guard didn't even have time to shout before Hannah knocked him out. She took his gun and communication device. Through the device, she heard the Vreks leader speaking. "The Confederation has ignored the Vreks Republic for too long. We demand full membership and 3 seats on the High Council. You have 6 hours to agree, or we start killing ambassadors." Hannah knew the Confederation would never agree so quickly. The Vreks would start killing. She needed help. Reluctantly, she used the communication device to call one person. "Security Station 4, a voice answered. "Ta-1, she said quietly. "It's Hannah. Hannah, where are you? Are you safe? I need your help. I can stop the Vreks, but not alone." There was a pause. "So the stories about you are true?" "Yes," Hannah said simply. "Meet me at Maintenance Tunnel 6 in 10 minutes. Come alone." As she waited in the dark tunnel, Hannah felt strange. For years, she had been nobody, just a shadow. Now she would have to be General Park again. The door opened. Tai-1 entered, holding a gun, looking nervous. "Tell me who you really are," he said. Hannah stood straighter. When she spoke, her voice was different. Strong. The voice of a leader. "I am General Hannah Park of Earth Defense, and I need your help to save this ship." The ship shook again. Alarms blared through every hall. "Hull breach in Section 12. The computer announced, "Emergency doors closing." Hannah led her team toward the bridge. Taiwan, Krell, and 6 guards followed her. The rest had gone to free the other ambassadors. "The Vrex leader knows he's losing," Hannah said as they ran. "That makes him dangerous." They reached a sealed door near the bridge. On the other side, they could hear the Vrex leader shouting orders. "He has 8 Vrex with him," Taiwan said, checking the security feed on his small screen. "All heavily armed." "How do we get past them?" a guard asked. Hannah studied the layout of the bridge. "I fought an enemy much smarter than the Vrex for 15 years, she said. "The AI could think faster than any human. It could see patterns we couldn't, but it had one weakness." "What was that?" Krell asked. "It couldn't understand human unpredictability," Hannah explained. "It couldn't handle when we did something that made no logical sense." She pointed to the ceiling above the bridge. "There's a maintenance hatch there. I'll drop in from above while you attack from the front. They won't expect an attack from 2 directions." "That's suicide," one guard said. "You'll be in the middle of 8 armed Vrex." Hannah smiled slightly. "I've faced worse odds." While the others prepared to breach the main door, Hannah climbed through the narrow tunnels to the hatch above the bridge. From there, she could see the Vrex leader. He was tall and had a scar across his face. He stood at the main controls, pressing buttons angrily. "The human resistance is strong," he was saying to his fighters. "But they can't stop us. If we can't have what we want, we'll destroy this ship, set the reactor to overload." Hannah knew what that meant. The ship would explode, killing everyone on board. And if they were near the diplomatic station, thousands more would die. She couldn't wait any longer. Hannah sent a signal to Taiwan. "Now." The main door exploded. The guards rushed in, firing their weapons. The Vrex turned to fight them. At the same moment, Hannah dropped from the ceiling. She landed silently behind the Vrex leader. "Step away from the controls," she said. The Vrex leader turned, surprised. He laughed when he saw her, a small human female. "This is their secret weapon." "I am General Hannah Park," she said, "and you are beaten." The Vrex leader drew his weapon, a long knife that glowed with energy. "I've heard about you, the human who moves too fast. Let's see how fast you really are." He swung the knife at her head. Hannah ducked under it easily. The fight had begun. Around them, the guards battled the other Vrex. Shots flew across the bridge. But Hannah focused only on the leader. He was good, better than the commander she had fought earlier. His knife came close several times. "The nanites in your blood are old," he taunted. "I can see you're slower than you once were." It was true. Hannah could feel the nanites struggling to keep up. 300 years had weakened them. She wasn't as fast as she had been in the AI war. The Vrex leader saw an opening and struck. His knife cut Hannah's side. She fell back, bleeding. "See, weak, like all humans," he laughed. Hannah touched her side. The wound wasn't deep, but it hurt. The Vrex leader moved toward her, confident now. "After I kill you, I'll destroy this ship and everyone on it," he said. Hannah watched him come closer. She had faced this moment many times in the AI war. Wounded, outmatched, with everything at stake. She had learned something important back then. Sometimes strength isn't about speed or power. As the Vrex leader raised his knife for a final blow, Hannah didn't try to move fast. Instead, she did something completely unexpected. She moved toward the knife, not away from it. The Vrex leader wasn't prepared for this. His strike missed its target as Hannah moved inside his reach. Her hands found 3 specific points on his body, pressure points that worked on Vrex just as they did on humans. The leader froze, then dropped to his knees. "Unpredictability," Hannah said quietly. "That's how we beat the AI. That's how I beat you." With one final strike, the Vrex leader fell unconscious. Across the bridge, the last of the Vrex fighters surrendered. The ship was theirs again. 3 days after the Vrex attack, The Harmony docked at the main Confederation station. The damage to the ship was being fixed. The Vrex terrorists were in custody, and everyone was talking about General Hannah Park. Hannah sat in the medical bay, letting a doctor check her side wound. It was healing well. The nanites in her blood still helped her recover faster than normal humans, even if they weren't as strong as before. The door opened. Ambassador Jin walked in with several other ambassadors, including Krell. "General Park," Jin said formally. "The Confederation Council wishes to speak with you." Hannah nodded. She had expected this. After the doctor finished, she followed Jin to the main meeting room. 12 ambassadors sat around a large table. The room was fixed now, no sign of the fight that had happened there. Hannah stood in the center, her back straight. She wore a simple uniform Jin had given her, not her old maintenance clothes. "General Hannah Park," the head ambassador said. He was a tall Mavorian with pale skin. "We have heard the full story of what happened on this ship. You saved all our lives." Hannah nodded but said nothing. "What we do not understand," the Mavorian continued, "is why Earth would hide someone like you. Why hide such strength?" Jin stood up. "After the AI war, Earth changed. We feared the weapons we had created. The nanite technology that enhanced General Park was banned. We promised the Confederation when we joined that we would never use such technologies again." "So you pretended to be weak?" Krell asked. "We chose peace," Jin replied. "We chose to join the stars as partners, not conquerors." The room was quiet. Then Ambassador Krell stood up. "For years, I thought humans were the weakest species in the Confederation," he said. "I treated them with disrespect." He looked at Hannah. "I was wrong." One by one, the other ambassadors stood. They had all seen the security videos of Hannah fighting. They had all heard how she saved the ship. "General Park," the Mavorian head ambassador said, "the Confederation would be honored if you would accept a position as security advisor. We need someone with your skills and experience." Hannah looked around the room. For 300 years, she had been a warrior. For 10 years, she had hidden who she was. Now they wanted her to be a leader again. "Thank you for the offer," she said, "but I must decline." The ambassadors looked surprised, Jin most of all. "Why?" the Mavorian asked. "I was made for war," Hannah explained. "I was created to fight an enemy that no longer exists. The nanites in my blood, my training, my way of thinking. They belong to a different time." She looked at Jin. Earth chose a better path, not hiding strength, but choosing when to use it. That wisdom is more valuable than any weapon. "What will you do then?" Jin asked. Hannah smiled slightly. "I would like to return to my work. The ship needs much cleaning and repair." Many ambassadors looked confused. Krell stepped forward. "You would go back to being a maintenance worker?" he asked. "After all this?" "There is honor in all work," Hannah said simply. "And sometimes the best place to guard something is from where no one looks." 1 week later, Hannah was back in her gray uniform, fixing a door panel on D-deck. The ship was quiet again. The Harmony had resumed its diplomatic mission. Footsteps approached. Hannah didn't look up from her work. "I still don't understand your choice," Krell's voice said. Hannah continued working on the panel. 300 years ago, I led armies. I made decisions that cost lives. I was respected, feared, but never at peace." She closed the panel and turned to face him. "Here, I am useful without being destructive. I protect without commanding. There is peace in that." Krell was quiet for a moment. Then he bowed his head slightly. "My people have much to learn from humans, it seems, about strength and how to carry it." As Krell walked away, Hannah returned to her work, but she stood a little straighter now. She no longer needed to pretend to be small or weak. The ship knew who she was. The Confederation knew. And in knowing her true strength, they had learned something important about humanity itself. Not that humans were dangerous, not that they were powerful, but that true strength lies in choosing when not to use the power you have. The end. Word spread quickly through the ship. A human woman had defeated 6 Vrex fighters alone. People whispered the name, General Park. Hannah found Tadwan in the engine room. He had managed to send a signal for help. Confederation ships are coming, he told her. But they won't be here for 3 hours. We don't have 3 hours, Hannah said. The Vrex leader will kill more hostages when he learns what happened. They heard footsteps. Both raised their weapons, but it was Ambassador Krell who entered the room. The blue-skinned Duraxian moved cautiously. You, he said, looking at Hannah. I saw what you did. How is it possible? We don't have time for this, Hannah said. I can help, Krell insisted. I escaped during the confusion. I know where they're keeping the other ambassadors. Hannah looked at him closely. This alien had treated her like dirt for years. Now he looked at her with something new in his 4 eyes. Respect. Why would you help us? She asked. Because I was wrong about humans, Krell said simply. About you. Hannah nodded. We need to free the others. Then we can stop the Vrex leader. More ship guards had been freed. Now 20 of them gathered with Hannah, Tadwan, and Krell. Hannah stood before them, no longer hiding who she was. The Vrex still have 9 ambassadors, she said. They have bombs in the meeting room. We need to be careful. One guard raised his hand. Why should we follow you? You're just a cleaner. Before Hannah could answer, Ambassador Jin stepped forward. He had joined them after being rescued from the meeting room. She is General Hannah Park, Jin said loudly. The greatest warrior in Earth's history. Everyone looked surprised. Jin continued. I've seen the old records. She saved our planet from the AI wars. She was put in cryo-sleep after being badly injured. That was 300 years ago, someone said. Jin nodded. She is a living legend. All eyes turned to Hannah. She stood straight, no longer trying to look small and weak. Is it true? The guard asked. Yes, Hannah said. But that doesn't matter now. What matters is saving this ship and everyone on it. How do we know you can lead us? Another guard asked. You saw what she did to those 6 Vrex, Tadwan said. I've seen her do more. She controls half the ship's systems now. Krell moved forward. I have seen many warriors in my long life, but never one like her. The Duraxian's voice was serious. My people have always thought humans were weak. I was wrong. The guards looked at each other. Then one by one, they nodded. What's the plan, General? The first guard asked. Hannah quickly explained her idea. Some guards would create a distraction. Others would free the remaining ambassadors. Hannah, Taiwan, and Krell would go after the Vrex leader. He'll be in the bridge, Krell said, controlling the ship from there. As they prepared to move out, Jin approached Hannah privately. I know who you really are, he said quietly. I know what you did in the AI war. Hannah looked at him. Then you know I did terrible things to win that war. Jin nodded. We've tried to be better since then. Joining the Confederation changed us. We don't want to be seen as dangerous. Sometimes being dangerous is necessary, Hannah said. The old weapons, the nanites in your blood, they were banned after the war, Jin continued. Earth promised the Confederation we wouldn't use such technology. I'm a relic of a different time, Hannah agreed. After this is over, I'll disappear again. Jin shook his head. No, Earth needs to remember its strength. The Confederation needs to see who we really are. And who are we? Hannah asked. A species that survived when an AI nearly wiped us out, Jin said. A species that produced someone like you. The ship shook suddenly. A loud explosion came from above. The Vrex leader is getting desperate, Taiwan said, running up to them. He started destroying parts of the ship. Hannah's face hardened. Then we end this now. As they moved out, the guards saw something they never expected. The small woman who used to clean their floors now walked like a commander. Her eyes held fire. Her steps were sure. She was no longer hiding. Dreams came to Hannah that night. Not dreams, memories. The year was 2089. Hannah Park stood in a large control room. Screens covered the walls. People ran back and forth. Everyone looked scared. General Park, it's breaking through our last firewall. A young man shouted from his computer. Hannah's uniform was crisp and dark. Stars marked her rank. She was not the small, quiet woman who cleaned floors on the Harmony *. She was the leader of Earth's defense forces. How long do we have? Hannah asked. Her voice was strong. It made people listen. 20 minutes, maybe less. Hannah nodded. Start the nanite procedure. An older man stepped forward. Hannah, we haven't tested it fully. The nanites could kill you. If we don't stop the AI, it will kill everyone, Hannah said. Her face showed no fear. We created it. Now we must stop it. The memory shifted. Hannah felt pain as tiny machines entered her blood. They changed her, made her stronger, faster. The pain was terrible, but she did not scream. Hannah woke up breathing hard. Her small room on the Harmony * came into focus. She was no longer General Park. She was just Hannah Kim, the cleaner. She got up and splashed water on her face. In the mirror, she looked young. The nanites had kept her body from aging, even during the long sleep. After the war with the AI, Hannah had been badly hurt. The doctors couldn't help her. They put her in a special sleep chamber. She was supposed to wake up in 5 years when medicine was better. Instead, she slept for almost 300 years. The records of who she was got lost. When she finally woke up 10 years ago, no one knew her. Earth had changed. Humans had found aliens. They had joined the Galactic Confederation. Hannah chose to stay unknown. The world didn't need a soldier from the past. It needed peace. She got dressed in her gray work clothes and went to start her day. As she fixed a broken door, she heard voices. Ambassador Krell and 2 other aliens walked by. They were Vrex, with scaled skin and sharp teeth. Hannah had never seen them on the ship before. The meeting room is ready, Krell said to them. Tomorrow, the new treaty will change everything. The Vrex nodded. One looked at Hannah, then quickly looked away. They thought she was nothing, just a human worker. But something felt wrong. Hannah had led armies. She had learned to sense danger. These Vrex visitors made her feel uneasy. During lunch, Hannah sat alone in the workers' area. Taiwan came and sat across from her. You're strange, you know that, he said with a smile. Hannah looked up. What do you mean? You don't talk much. You don't make friends, but you watch everything. I've seen you. You notice things others don't. Hannah took a careful bite of her food. I'm just careful. Taiwan leaned forward. My grandfather used to tell me stories about the Guardian of Earth, a great general who saved humanity from machines, then disappeared. He watched her face closely. The pictures I've seen look a lot like you. Hannah's hand stopped halfway to her mouth. For a moment, she didn't breathe. That's just an old story, she said finally. Taiwan shrugged. Maybe, but my grandfather worked in the old military archives. He believed it was true. He stood up. If you ever want to talk about old stories, I'm here. After he left, Hannah sat very still. Someone knew, or suspected. That night, as she checked the air systems near the meeting room, she saw the Vrex visitors again. They were placing small objects under chairs. Their movements were quick and nervous. Hannah recognized what they were doing. She had seen bombs before. The meeting tomorrow was a trap, and no one on the ship knew except her. Hannah stood in the shadows, her mind racing. After centuries of hiding, of being no one, a decision faced her. Stay hidden and safe, or reveal herself and save the ship. The choice was no choice at all. She had sworn an oath long ago to protect humanity. That oath had no end date. The Vrex were angry now. Their leader's voice roared through the ship's speakers. Find whoever is doing this. Find them now. Hana and Taiwan watched from a hidden spot as 6 Vrex fighters ran past. The aliens were carrying bigger guns now. They're scared, Hana said quietly. When enemies are scared, they make mistakes. But they're also more dangerous, Taiwan warned. Hana nodded. We need to move faster. The Vrex leader will kill more hostages soon. They headed toward the engine room. Hana had a new plan. If we can control the engines, we can send a signal to other Confederation ships, she explained. The Vrex ship must be nearby. We need help. As they moved through the narrow maintenance tunnels, Taiwan asked, How did you save Ambassador Jin? The lights went out and then 2 Vrex were down. Hana didn't answer right away. Then she said, I was there. What? How? I used the darkness. I moved fast. She looked at him. The nanites make me faster than normal humans. In the dark, I had the advantage. Taiwan stared at her. You took down 2 armed Vrex in 10 seconds of darkness. I fought worse, was all she said. When they reached the path to the engine room, they found it blocked. A section of the tunnel had collapsed. We need another way, Taiwan said. Hana thought for a moment. There isn't one. We'll have to go through the main hall. That's too dangerous. The Vrex are everywhere. We don't have a choice. They left the safety of the tunnels. The main hall was huge and open. Nowhere to hide. They moved quickly along the wall. Then a voice shouted, Humans, stop. A Vrex fighter had seen them. He was bigger than the others, with special armor. A commander. Run. Hana pushed Taiwan ahead. Get to the engine room. What about you? I'll handle this. Go. Taiwan ran. The Vrex commander aimed his gun at Taiwan's back, but Hana threw a piece of metal. It hit the Vrex's hand, making him miss. The commander turned to Hana, angry now. 5 more Vrex fighters joined him. They surrounded Hana. You're the one causing trouble, the commander growled. A small human female. Hard to believe. Hana stood very still. For years, she had hidden who she really was. She had been quiet, invisible. But now, people would die if she stayed hidden. It was time to remember who she really was. I am General Hana Park, she said, her voice strong. I led Earth's armies against the AI. I did not survive 300 years to be stopped by you. The Vrex laughed. Big words from such a small creature. Get her. The 6 Vrex attacked at once. They expected an easy fight. They were wrong. Hana moved like water. Fast, flowing, unstoppable. The nanites in her blood made her faster than any human should be. She dodged the first Vrex's punch and struck back with perfect aim. He fell. The second and third came at her together. Hana jumped, higher than seemed possible. She kicked one in the head as she spun through the air. The other received 3 fast strikes when she landed. The 4th Vrex fired his gun. Hana rolled away, then closed the distance before he could fire again. 2 strikes, and he dropped. The 5th backed away, now afraid. But he was too slow. Hana was already there. 1 hit, and he joined his friends on the floor. Only the commander remained. He was bigger, stronger than the others. He pulled out a long knife. What are you? He growled. I told you, Hana said calmly. I am General Park. They fought. The commander was skilled. His knife came close several times. He managed to cut Hana's arm once, but she did not slow down. The fight moved across the hall. People watched from hiding spots. They had never seen a human move like this. Never seen anyone fight like this. Finally, Hana saw her chance. The commander swung his knife wide. She moved inside his reach and struck 3 points on his body. The commander froze, then fell. The hall was silent. 6 Vrex fighters lay on the floor, and in the middle stood Hana, breathing hard but still standing. From a nearby doorway, Ambassador Krell watched. His 4 eyes were wide with shock. All his life, He had thought humans were weak. Now he knew better. Hannah Kim wiped sweat from her forehead as she scrubbed the floor of the main hall. The massive ship Harmony carried important people from 12 alien worlds. Hannah was just a cleaner. Human, you missed a spot. The deep voice of Ambassador Krell made her look up. The tall Diraxian stood over her, his blue skin gleaming under the bright lights. His 4 eyes stared down at her with no kindness. "Yes, sir. I will clean it again." Hannah kept her voice soft and her eyes down. She moved her cleaning tool to the spot Krell pointed at, even though it was already clean. Krell laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the hall. His 2 guards laughed too. Humans, so weak, so eager to please. No wonder you were the last to join the Galactic Confederation. Hannah said nothing. Her small hands moved in careful circles on the floor. To anyone watching, she looked scared and submissive. In the year 2457, humans were still new to space travel compared to other species. Most aliens thought humans were weak. 50 years after joining the Confederation, humans still got the worst jobs and the least respect. Krell walked away, his heavy boots leaving fresh marks on Hannah's clean floor. She would have to clean it all again. She did not sigh or complain. She just kept working. "He's awful to you," said a voice. Hannah looked up to see Ta-1, a security guard. He was human too, young and tall with kind eyes. "You shouldn't let him talk to you like that." Hannah shrugged. "It doesn't matter." Her voice was quiet, but there was something in it, a calmness that seemed strange for someone in her position. "It does matter," said Ta-1. "We're not pets or servants. We're members of the Confederation too." Hannah smiled a little. "Some battles aren't worth fighting." Ta-1 looked confused by her words. "What other battles are there on a diplomatic ship?" "There are always battles," Hannah said. Then she went back to cleaning as if she had said nothing strange. Later that day, Hannah fixed a broken light in the east corridor. Her small toolkit had everything she needed. Her hands moved with surprising skill for a simple maintenance worker. Each move was efficient. Nothing wasted. Ambassador Jin Sung-ho, the human representative, walked by with his assistants. They were talking about the big meeting tomorrow. 12 species would sign a new trade agreement. It was very important. Jin barely looked at Hannah. To him, she was just part of the ship, like the walls or the floor. Not important. That was how Hannah liked it. Invisible. Forgotten. In her small room that night, Hannah sat on her bed. The ship hummed around her. She took out an old metal disc from under her pillow. It was small, fitting in her palm. When she pressed it, a hologram appeared. A young woman in a military uniform. The woman looked exactly like Hannah, but her eyes were different. They held fire and command. Hannah touched the hologram gently. 300 years. 300 years since she had been that woman. A sound in the corridor made her quickly hide the disc. She became again what everyone saw. A simple worker, small and meek, harmless. But as she prepared for sleep, Hannah's hands moved through an ancient exercise. Her body flowed like water, fast and precise. For just moments, the mask slipped. Her eyes showed the truth. This was not a weak woman. This was someone who had once commanded armies, who had saved a world. Then, hearing footsteps again, Hannah became small once more. Invisible. The perfect disguise for the most dangerous human in history.